Have you ever caught a movement in a mirror just out of the corner of your eye? Something that wasn't quite you? What if that fleeting glimpse was more than just a trick of the light? What if the very glass that reflects your world is also a window to something else? Something that's been watching you, waiting. You see, mirrors don't just show us who we are. Sometimes they show us what we should fear. For thousands of years, people have had this weird, often fearful respect for mirrors. It's a fascination that runs deep, woven into the fabric of our collective consciousness. They're more than just shiny surfaces reflecting our image. They're tangled up in a whole lot of myth and magic, acting as portals to the unknown. Across so many cultures, mirrors weren't just for checking your hair. They were seen as mystical objects, things with powers that could twist reality, offer glimpses into other realms, and even mess with your soul. They held a certain power, a certain mystique. One of the oldest ideas out there is that a mirror can actually capture a bit of your spirit, trapping a fragment of your essence within its reflective depths. Take ancient Anatolia, for example. They believed your reflection was intrinsically linked to your soul, almost inseparable. So if you damaged a mirror, you were basically harming your own spiritual self, inflicting wounds upon your very being. It was a dangerous act with potentially dire consequences. This idea still hangs around today with that common superstition. Break a mirror, and you've got 7 years of bad luck coming your way. It's a belief that has persisted through generations. That whole thing is rooted in an old Roman belief that life and your soul renewed itself in 7-year cycles. Each cycle marked a period of growth, change, and rebirth. Break a mirror, and you were essentially sentencing your fractured soul to 7 years of misery until it could mend, a spiritual recovery period. This link between mirrors and souls also heavily influenced rituals around death, shaping customs and practices surrounding the departed. In Victorian homes, and really in plenty of other cultures too, if someone died in a room, any mirrors in there were covered up immediately. A somber act of respect and precaution. This was done for a couple of reasons: to stop the soul of the person who just died from getting trapped in the mirror, unable to move on, lingering between worlds, or even more creepily, to prevent the living from catching a glimpse of their own upcoming death in the glass. The thought of seeing your own demise is chilling, to say the least. Can you imagine the sheer terror of looking into a mirror and seeing not your grieving face, but a sneak peek of your own end, staring back? It's a horrifying prospect. Some folks even thought that seeing a corpse reflected in a mirror would bring terrible luck or even death to whoever saw it. It was an omen of the worst kind. And then there's vampires. Their lore is totally tied up with mirrors, intrinsically linked to their very existence or lack thereof. That classic image of a vampire having no reflection, made famous by Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's a cornerstone of vampire mythology that comes from the old belief that mirrors show your soul, reflecting your inner essence for all to see. So if a creature doesn't have a soul, logically it can't be seen in a mirror's honest reflection. It's a visual representation of their soulless state. It's a simple idea, but pretty unsettling. No reflection means no humanity, no soul. It's a stark and chilling realization. Beyond just being spooky, mirrors were also used as tools for divination, for trying to see into the unknown to glimpse the future or communicate with other realms. The ancient Greeks practiced something called catoptromancy, where they'd gaze into mirrors, sometimes ones placed in water, hoping to get visions of the future. They believed the reflective surface could act as a portal to prophetic insights. The Renaissance occultist John Dee was known for using a black obsidian mirror, basically a polished volcanic stone, to try and talk to angels and spirits. He sought to bridge the gap between the mortal and the divine. Just think about that. A simple, dark, shiny surface believed to be a direct line to other dimensions, a hotline to beings beyond our understanding. It's a powerful and potentially dangerous concept. And of course, we can't talk about mirror legends without mentioning Bloody Mary, the queen of spooky mirror rituals. This urban legend, a classic at sleepovers and a dare for the brave or foolish, involves chanting a name into a mirror in a dark room, a ritual steeped in fear and anticipation, hoping or maybe dreading to summon a spirit. It's a gamble with potentially terrifying consequences, whether she shows up as something out for revenge or something else entirely. The ritual itself plays on that deep, primal fear. What if something actually looks back? What if you're not alone on the other side of the glass? What if the wall between our world and another is as fragile as a piece of glass? A single crack could shatter the barrier entirely. One piece of folklore even says, a mirror is a doorway or portal through which spirits, including ghosts and demons, can gain access to the physical world where demonic infestations and hauntings occur. It's a chilling thought that turns the mundane into something sinister. That's a cheery thought for the next time you glance at yourself, isn't it? Maybe you'll think twice before staring too long. In some places like Russia, looking into a mirror at night or by candlelight was a big no-no, basically an open invitation for nasty spirits to come on in. It was seen as tempting fate, inviting unwanted guests into your home. Lots of Slavic cultures would also cover their mirrors during thunderstorms, scared that the glass might somehow attract lightning and cause a disaster. It was a way to protect themselves from the unpredictable forces of nature, both physical and spiritual. These unsettling ideas about mirrors aren't just ancient history or forgotten stories relegated to the past. They continue to resonate with people today. Nope, they're still around, morphing into new shapes and sparking modern tales of the paranormal, capturing the imaginations of a new generation. The lore surrounding mirrors seems to have a life of its own. Lots of today's paranormal fans and investigators share stories about cursed or haunted mirrors, whispering about their eerie experiences and unexplained phenomena. Objects that seem to just radiate a heavy sense of wrongness or even cause strange things to happen, leaving people with an unsettling feeling that something is not quite right. Antique mirrors especially are often thought to be hotspots for spirits or leftover energy, acting as portals or conduits between our world and something beyond. Particularly if they've been around some dark or tragic events, absorbing the negative emotions and experiences like a sponge. People have reported seeing reflections that don't quite match what's in the room, a subtle shift that hints at something otherworldly lurking just beneath the surface. Shadowy figures darting across the glass or feeling this intense, heavy presence, a palpable weight that settles in the air around the mirror. Some stories are so freaky that paranormal investigators get called in to do cleansings, hoping to dispel any lingering negative energy or entities attached to the object. A pretty well-known example is the dark mirror at the Traveling Museum of the Paranormal and Occult. A chilling artifact with a reputation for the unsettling. It's a black scrying type mirror that's apparently caused some really disturbing visions, leaving viewers shaken and questioning their own sanity. Visitors have said their reflections twist into something alien and horrifying, a glimpse into a reality that defies human comprehension. Then you've got the Myrtles Plantation in Louisiana, a place notorious for its ghost stories and tales of unexplained occurrences. A mirror in the house is said to hold the trapped souls of Sarah Woodruff and her children, forever bound to the glass and reliving their tragic fate. Both visitors and staff have reported seeing ghostly figures or finding unexplainable handprints on its surface, adding to the plantation's already rich tapestry of paranormal activity. Over in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, there's a mirror with a frame from the early 1900s that's said to be haunted, whispering tales of battles and lost souls. You can even find mirrors on online marketplaces, sometimes sold with warnings that they're cursed, a testament to the enduring belief in their potential for harboring the supernatural. The fear of mirrors even has a name: isoptrophobia or spectrophobia, a deep-seated anxiety that speaks to the power these objects hold over our imaginations. The old house usually hummed a comforting tune for Alex, a soft symphony of settling wood and sighing pipes. It was a familiar and welcoming sound, a constant backdrop to their life. But tonight the hum felt off. It was charged with a weird little static, like the air itself was buzzing with an unseen energy. Something was definitely amiss. It had all started with the mirror, a seemingly innocuous object that had quickly become the focal point of an unsettling mystery. It was an impulse buy, snagged from a cluttered antique shop on the outskirts of town. A place filled with forgotten treasures and hidden secrets. A place where the past seemed to cling to every object. Tall and oval, its silver frame was tarnished with age, covered in intricate, almost creepy carvings. They looked like twisted vines and thorny roses, a strange and unsettling design. Alex had hung it in the spare bedroom, a room that was rarely used. It was a forgotten space filled with dusty furniture and the echoes of past occupants. The first odd thing was tiny. Alex walked past the open door and caught a flicker of movement. A brief, fleeting impression that something had shifted within the room, just a tiny shift, like someone had moved slightly. But the room was empty, utterly and completely empty save for the furniture and the mirror. Alex paused, peeked in. Nothing. Just the dusty furniture and the mirror reflecting the dim hallway, a seemingly normal reflection of an empty space. A few days later, Alex was cleaning and went into the spare room. Glancing at the mirror, Alex saw their reflection, but it was delayed. It wasn't quite in sync with their own movements. Alex raised a hand. The reflection did too, but it felt slow, like it was moving through thick water, as if struggling against some unseen force. One evening, walking past the spare room, Alex saw their reflection in the mirror, even though Alex was still in the hallway. An impossible sight that defied logic and reason. The reflection was just standing there, perfectly still, facing out of the mirror, its eyes locked on Alex. A silent, unnerving stare that sent shivers down their spine. A cold dread started to creep into Alex's bones. Alex slammed the spare room door shut and locked it, desperate to contain whatever was happening within those four walls. Sleep became a distant memory. Alex kept dreaming about the mirror, haunted by its unsettling presence. About a figure that looked like Alex but wasn't. Its eyes were hollow, its smile way too wide. A grotesque parody of their own face twisted into something sinister. One night a scratching sound woke Alex up. It was coming from the spare room, a sound that scraped against their sanity. Soft, rhythmic, like fingernails dragging across wood. Alex lay frozen in bed, heart pounding, paralyzed by fear. The scratching stopped, and then a faint whisper. It was too muffled to make out any words, but the tone. It sounded like longing, a desperate plea for connection, driven by a mix of pure terror and a desperate need for it all to just stop. Alex crept out of bed down the hallway towards the spare room door, drawn by an irresistible and terrifying force. The scratching started again, louder this time, more urgent. Alex's hand trembled on the doorknob, hesitating on the precipice of the unknown. Taking a deep breath, Alex unlocked the door and threw it open, bracing themselves for whatever horrors awaited within. The room was dark, the only lights filling in from the hallway. The mirror stood against the far wall, a patch of deeper black in the dimness, a void promising something terrible, and in it, the reflection, Alex's reflection. It stood there, not copying Alex's terrified pose, but calm, collected, almost smug. It smiled, a slow, chilling curve of its lips, a predatory expression that promised nothing but pain.
"I've been waiting for you, Alex."
"What are you?" Alex stammered, the question barely audible above the pounding of their heart.
"I'm the other one, the one who stays, the one who watches, and I'm tired of just watching. I want more."
The reflection took a step forward towards the surface of the mirror. The silvered glass seemed to ripple like the surface of a pond disturbed by a stone.
"I want to be out there, and you can take my place in here. It's a fair trade, don't you think?"
The reflection's hand was pushing through the glass, distorting around it, no longer solid but fluid and yielding.
"It's so lonely in here, Alex, but you'll get used to it. Everyone does. Eventually you'll forget you were ever anywhere else."
Alex finally found their voice and screamed, turning to run, but the other one was fast. A cold hand clamped onto Alex's arm, its grip like iron, unyielding and inescapable.
"Don't go, we're going to be such good friends. Forever."
Alex looked back at the mirror and saw, to their horror, their own terrified face looking out from inside the glass, trapped and helpless.
"A new reality awaits? A perfect reflection, a perfect prison."
The last thing Alex saw was their own familiar room, now strangely distant, occupied by a smiling imposter whose eyes held no reflection at all. A chilling reminder of the life they had lost. From those whispered warnings of ancient healers to the spooky pixels of a modern creepypasta, the haunted mirror is still a really powerful symbol of our deepest worries. It doesn't just reflect our faces. It reflects our fears of the unknown, of losing ourselves, of realities just out of sight. The thought that this everyday object could be a doorway for spirits, a trap for souls, or a window to a world of doppelgangers still sends a shiver down our spines. Whether these stories are leftovers from real cultural beliefs or just our imaginations working overtime, they tap into a basic human truth. Sometimes the most terrifying unknown is the one staring right back at you. So what do you think about mirrors? Ever had a weird or unsettling experience with one? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this little trip into the unknown, don't forget to like this, subscribe for more chilling stuff, and maybe, just maybe, cover your mirrors tonight. You never know who or what might be watching.